And when I look at Coco, I had a chance, obviously, to go to Roland Garros. I was at the French Open. She worked so hard every single match to get to the finals. And I just love the fact that she has not only the will to win, the fight to win. What I loved also is how she just takes the high road, no matter what. We all have heard the comments from Sabalenka, her negativity, talking about Coco wasn't better than her, that Coco didn't beat her, that she lost the match because of her errors. But I just want to say, when you mess with the bull, you get the horn.
Lisa Leslie just stepped into the tennis world and delivered a message that has everyone talking. The basketball legend watched Aryna Sabalenka make excuses after losing to Coco Gauff at the French Open and decided enough was enough. Leslie called out the pattern of top players refusing to give Coco credit for her wins, and she didn't hold back. This isn't just about one match or one sore loser. This is about respect, class, and what happens when you mess with an American champion. Do you think tennis players show Coco Gauff enough respect when she beats them? Lisa Leslie attended the French Open and watched Coco Gauff battle her way through every single match to reach the finals. As a champion herself who knows what it takes to compete at the highest level, Lisa recognized the work, the fight, and the determination that Coco displayed throughout the tournament. But what happened after Coco's matches, particularly after she beat Aryna Sabalenka, is what prompted Lisa to speak out in defense of the young American star. Aryna Sabalenka lost to Coco Gauff and immediately went into excuse mode. Instead of acknowledging that she got beat by a better player on that day, Sabalenka made comments suggesting that Coco didn't actually beat her, that she beat herself with her own errors. She said Coco wasn't better than her, that the match was lost rather than won. It's the kind of sore loser mentality that shows a complete lack of class and an inability to handle defeat with any kind of grace. Lisa Leslie was having none of it. She pointed out that when you mess with the bull, you get the horns. Sabalenka was completely wrong to diminish Coco's victory, and Lisa made sure everyone knew it. What Lisa appreciates most about Coco is that she takes the high road no matter what. Coco doesn't respond to the negativity. She doesn't fire back on social media. She doesn't get into public feuds. She just keeps winning and lets her tennis do the talking. The problem is that this isn't an isolated incident. Sabalenka isn't the only top player who's made dismissive comments about Coco. Ike has done it. Elena Rybakina has done it. There's a pattern of these women refusing to give Coco the credit she deserves when she beats them. Even when Coco was ranked number 3 in the world, these same players were talking about themselves as the big three, completely leaving Coco out of the conversation. The disrespect is real and it's consistent. Lisa Leslie highlighted how Coco has to face not just her opponent on the court, but also the ridicule and dismissive comments from her colleagues who should be supportive. These are supposed to be fellow professionals who understand how hard it is to compete at this level. Instead, they're taking shots at Coco and trying to diminish her accomplishments. That's not competition. That's pettiness. That's insecurity showing itself in the ugliest possible way. The irony of players like Sabalenka making these comments is thick. She's out here saying Coco only won because she didn't play her best. As if Coco has any control over how Sabalenka plays. Here's a thought. Maybe the reason Sabalenka didn't play her best is because Coco didn't let her. Maybe Coco's strategy, her shot selection, her movement, her mental toughness, all of that contributed to Sabalenka making errors. That's what great players do. They force their opponents into mistakes. Lisa made a point that needs to be shouted from the rooftops. Everyone laces up their shoes and shows up to compete. On championship day, you have to play your best. It doesn't matter what happened last week or what the statistics say about your game. When you step on that court in a final, you better bring everything you have. Sabalenka didn't do that. Or,
I think today I didn't really handle myself quite well, mentally, I would say. So basically that's it. I was just making unforced errors. Like, I don't know, I have to check the statistics. I think she won the match not because she played incredible, just because I made all of those mistakes from, like, if you look from the outside, kind of like from an easy balls.
More accurately, Coco didn't allow her to do that. Either way, the result is the same. Coco won. Sabalenka lost. End of story. The excuse making from top players when they lose to Coco reveals something deeper. They can't accept that this young American player is beating them fair and square. They have to create narratives that protect their egos. They have to find ways to explain away the losses that don't involve admitting that Coco outplayed them. It's pathetic, and Lisa Leslie called it out perfectly. What makes Lisa's defense of Coco even more powerful is that it's coming from someone who's been there. Lisa Leslie is a 4-time Olympic gold medalist, a 3-time WNBA MVP, and a Hall of Famer. She knows what it's like to be doubted. She knows what it's like to have people make excuses when you beat them. She knows what it's like to carry yourself with class while others take the low road. Her perspective carries weight because she's lived it. The comment about Coco being America's hero and everyone needing to be careful what they say because we're coming back after you is perfect. Lisa is basically putting the tennis world on notice. You don't get to disrespect an American champion and think there won't be consequences. Those consequences might not be on the tennis court, but they'll come in the form of public opinion, media criticism, and a fan base that's not going to tolerate watching their champion get torn down by sore losers. Coco Gauff has shown remarkable maturity in how she handles all of this. She's barely in her 20s, and she's dealing with jealousy, dismissiveness, and outright disrespect from players who should know better. Instead of stooping to their level, she maintains her composure, speaks thoughtfully in interviews, and continues to improve her game. That's the mark of a true champion. That's the kind of character that can't be taught. The pattern of dismissiveness toward Coco started early in her career and hasn't stopped even as she's climbed the rankings and won a Grand Slam. When she was younger, people said she was overhyped. When she started winning, they said it was luck. When she won the US Open, they found ways to diminish that accomplishment, too. Now she's beating top players consistently and they're still making excuses. At what point do these players and their fans accept that Coco is just really good at tennis? Sabalenka's comments after losing to Coco were especially ridiculous because Coco played an incredible match. She served well. She returned even better. And she showed mental toughness in the big moments. That's not someone barely scraping by. That's someone playing championship-level tennis and earning a victory against one of the best players in the world. But Sabalenka couldn't handle that reality. So she created her own.
And what I love about Coco is that she can't say anything, but these women have come after her, whether it's been Sabalenka, Iga, Rybakina. They've made comments, even when Coco was actually number 3 in the world, they talked about them being the big 3. So every turn she has to face not just her opponent, but the ridicule from her colleagues.
Version where she beat herself. The double standard is also worth noting. When top players beat Coco, nobody questions it. Nobody says they only won because Coco didn't play well. Nobody suggests that the victory should have an asterisk next to it. But when Coco beats them, suddenly the narrative shifts to errors and off days and everything except the simple truth that Coco was the better player that day. It's transparent. It's pathetic. And Lisa Leslie was right to call it out. What Lisa said about players needing to win and lose with class is fundamental to sports. Competition is supposed to teach you how to be gracious in victory and defeat. You're supposed to respect your opponent, acknowledge their skill, and move on to the next match. Sabalenka and others are failing that basic test of sportsmanship. They're showing that their egos are too fragile to handle losing to someone they don't think should be beating them. The comment about Coco being America's top American player and deserving respect for that alone is interesting. There's a nationalistic pride element to this that Lisa is tapping into. Americans are protective of their champions, especially when those champions carry themselves the way Coco does. When you see someone representing your country with class and excellence getting torn down by international competitors, it creates a rally around the flag effect. Lisa is channeling that energy perfectly. Coco's ability to take the high road consistently is actually strategic brilliance whether she realizes it or not. Every time someone like Sabalenka makes excuses or dismissive comments, it makes them look small and petty. Coco staying above it makes her look mature and confident. The contrast works entirely in Coco's favor. She doesn't need to defend herself because her character and her results speak for themselves. The reality that players like Sabalenka need to accept is that Coco is here to stay. She's not a flash in the pan. She's not going away. She's going to keep getting better, keep winning matches, and keep collecting titles. The sooner these players accept that and start treating her with the respect she's earned, the better off everyone will be. But as long as they keep making excuses, people like Lisa Leslie are going to keep calling them out. Lisa's comment about how Coco worked so hard every single match to get to the finals is important context. This wasn't a player who got an easy draw or caught a bunch of lucky breaks. Coco had to earn every single victory. She had to fight through tough matches, deal with pressure, and execute her game plan against quality opponents. That makes the dismissive comments from players like Sabalenka even more insulting. They're not just dismissing one match, they're dismissing an entire tournament's worth of hard work. The Big Three conversation that Lisa mentioned is particularly gling. When Coco was ranked number 3 in the world, players like Sabalenka, Suyuate, and Ryakina were calling themselves the Big Three and completely ignoring Coco's ranking. That's not an accident. That's a deliberate choice to exclude her from the conversation. It's the kind of mean girl behavior that shouldn't exist in professional sports, but clearly does. What's funny is that these players making excuses and dismissive comments are actually giving Coco motivation. Every time someone says she only won because they didn't play well, that's fuel for Coco to come back even stronger. Every time someone leaves her out of conversations about the top players, that's motivation to prove them wrong. They're creating their own worst nightmare by disrespecting her instead of just acknowledging her talent and moving on. Lisa Leslie's defense of Coco is also significant because it brings attention from outside the tennis world. Basketball fans who might not follow tennis closely are now hearing about this situation. They're learning about Coco and the disrespect she faces that expands her fan base and creates more support for her. Lisa's platform and credibility make this more than just a tennis story. It's a sports story about respect, class, and standing up for champions. The way Coco carries herself with grace and class, as Lisa mentioned, is something that should be celebrated more. In an era where athletes are often encouraged to be brash and confrontational, Coco shows that you can be competitive and humble at the same time. You can win without arrogance and lose without excuses. That's a lesson that players like Sabalenka could learn from if they were willing to check their egos. The warning that Lisa issued about being careful what you say because people are coming back after you is perfect. She's putting the tennis world on notice that dismissing Coco comes with consequences. Those consequences might be social media backlash, media criticism, or just a fan base that remembers and doesn't forget. Either way, the message is clear. Show respect or face the heat. Sabalenka had every opportunity to handle her loss with class. She could have said Coco played great, that she brought her best, and that it just wasn't her day. That would have been the mature professional response. Instead, she chose to make excuses and diminish Coco's accomplishment. That decision is going to follow her, and people like Lisa Leslie are going to make sure it does. The broader issue here is about how we treat young champions, especially young women of color. Coco faces a level of scrutiny and dismissiveness that many of her peers don't face. The constant need to prove herself over and over again despite her results is exhausting to watch and must be even more exhausting to live through. Lisa Leslie recognizing that and speaking up about it matters because it validates what Coco is experiencing and calls out the people perpetuating it. What Lisa said about everyone lacing up their shoes and having to show up ready to compete is fundamental sports philosophy. There are no excuses on game day. There are no do-overs. You either perform or you don't. Sabalenka didn't perform well enough to beat Coco. And instead of accepting that reality, she tried to rewrite history. Lisa wasn't having it, and neither should anyone else. The love and support that Lisa expressed for Coco at the end of her comments is what Coco deserves to hear more often. She deserves to know that people recognize her talent, appreciate her character, and support her journey. She deserves to be celebrated for her accomplishments instead of having them minimized by jealous competitors. Lisa Leslie gave voice to what millions of Coco's fans were thinking, and that matters. Lisa Leslie delivered a masterclass in defending a champion and calling out poor sportsmanship. Aryna Sabalenka and others who make excuses when Coco beats them need to learn how to lose with class. Coco Gauff is a champion who carries herself with grace. And she deserves respect from her competitors whether they like losing to her or not. If you appreciate Lisa Leslie standing up for Coco, hit that like button and subscribe for more real talk about sports and the people who make it.